Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Journey of Awe. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm your host, Princess Fizz, and along with my co-host, Isolde Kellerman. You tuned into a live program. It's an interactive show, okay? So what we do is we come on every Tuesdays and we discuss various topics with you regarding spirituality and different areas of how to live a more spiritual, empowered life. Now, this week's topic is really interesting. It's about conquering the ego, what actually ego is, and just understanding the purpose of ego, what role it kind of plays in your life, and because we've spoken to quite a few people about this, and everyone's got a different perception of ego. So I brought on a specialist in this area. She's coming in live from Rome. She's got about 14 years or so experience in the spiritual growth area, and she's a Reiki teacher as well. So I'd like to welcome on the show Jyoti, live from Rome. Thank you very much, Jyoti, for joining us today.
Thank you, Princess, and it's nice to have you talking to me here.
No, it's absolutely great because you're also an author of a book, and you've highlighted quite a few areas of this in this topic. So I'd like you to share your book as well on the show, and maybe give us some insights of what you've written about it. So that would be absolutely awesome. But Isolde, say hi.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. This is such an exciting topic. You know, we've been asking and interviewing people what is their perspective on ego, and it's interesting because everyone has a different idea. So we would like to just give a different perspective and a different view, kind of take ego apart and just analyze it like a spiritual organ, and what is it for?
Exactly, that's wonderful. So guys, it's an interactive show. We want to hear from you. So please comment just below. There's a live commenting. So leave your comments, suggestions, or anything that you don't understand or we want each of these guests to elaborate on. Please do let us know. And also there's a journal here as well that we say that you can start a 90-day journal with us. You'll be added to a private group, so please activate your journal anytime throughout the show. It opens up in a new window, and you can start your 90-day transformation with us. So that's absolutely awesome. So wow, okay, so I don't know who to begin with. It's such an amazing topic. I'm so excited about it. Okay, so very simply, I'm going to ask this question. What is ego? Jyoti, would you like to answer that question? What is ego? What is your understanding of ego? How would you explain to a very new person, someone that doesn't really know about this, what ego is?
First of all, we need to understand that ego is basically energy. It's energy that's coming from our identification with personhood, as thoughts, as emotions, as beliefs, as our mind, as our attitude, and in general the personality, what makes us basically. So we identify with all parts of ourselves, and then we get attached to them because our identity comes from there.
Right. So how does this ego come about? I mean, how is it everyone's different? Why is ego in everyone different?
Because basically when we identify with the external part, basically the beliefs and the thinking and emotions, this whole thing is directly, and it's fear is the integral part of this whole thing. So it starts from fear.
Starts from fear.
Each one's fears are different.
Right. Is it a blueprint of our childhood? I mean, social, so kind of upbringing, your parents, the teachings. Yeah, I mean, because everyone's born equal, right?
Yeah, we're born, but we bring a set of negative debt, if you like to call that. And main thing is that the whole thing starts with fear, that we feel a void inside. Right. And the fear is an integral part of this identification. So, and it could be fear of, and the main thing is a fear of death.
Main thing is fear of death,
yeah,
right?
fear of loneliness, fear of unlovability, fear of abandonment, fear of failure. So all these fears come up, and through that, and then we are attached to all of them.
So it's mostly insecurities in a person.
It's insecurity, low self-esteem, which leads us to all these things.
Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you, Jyoti. Isolde, I would like your perception on ego. What would you think? How would you define ego in your understanding?
I definitely agree with Jyoti. It's a fictional entity that we produce it in our mind, and it's a collage of everything that we are being encountered to. And most of the time, the ego is, because it is created in the mind, it always objectifies itself through the outside world, and it sees itself as separate from everyone else. So that's what creates the separation anxiety, pretty much in humans, the ego, because it makes us believe that we are separate from everyone and everything in the universe. Exactly. And because it identifies with the outside world, with the material world, its biggest challenge or biggest fear is death, you know, what Jyoti said. And anything can be threatened to ego, change, people, actually the self itself too. When the self trying to change, ego flares up immediately. And so it's one of those things that ego always lives in the now, in the reality, and it's kind of yo-yoing between the superego and the id, which is the survival or the obedience. And it's trying to justify its existence through these two modalities.
Right. I mean, so from what you're saying, I mean, I don't blame people from understanding that ego is quite a negative feeling, or a purpose of ego is quite negative, but from our understanding of our conversation, Isolde, you feel there's a purpose. Jyoti, if I can ask you, what is the reason for ego to be there? We're from the divine creation, okay? We're from one being, from, you know, the conscious kind of, you know, source. So why would something as negative as that be part of our kind of growth? If that
when we
is
live
a good
in
question.
Duality, ego is a part of duality, first of all.
Right.
Yeah. So we have to learn different phases of duality and realize that it's not going to work. Right. Only when we are in direct connection with the divine, or we are aware of that. Basically, ego is lack of awareness. So
okay.
When we live in duality, we go through all the ego games one by one, or whatever lessons we have to learn, and through that, then we realize that this is not the real me.
Right. Excellent. And Isolde, what would you say about that?
Yes, I definitely agree with Jyoti. So pretty much ego is a necessary evil, if that's what you say, in an evolutionary process in humankind to create awareness. And the reason why, because we had to, you know, when you examine the evolution of humankind, when we were created, we were naturally connected to our true source. And when this golden age ended, we got
fall of man.
we got separated from the source, and we kind of went into our head. So we identified with those thoughts, and that's when the fall of humankind came. That we started to live, to hear this little voice in our head, and we identify with that. And it had great reasons, because look what we achieved. You know, with thinking, we could come up with a lot of great things in our life. Look around us in a Western society. You know, we can go to the moon, we drive cars, we achieve a lot of things. But in the same sense, we never really find true happiness in that, because everything what we create with thought, and everything that ego creates, it's a material world, and everything is perishing in the material world. So, and we find a lot of suffering with attachment to that. So I think ego is the catalyst to create awareness that why it's not working. You see, when we suffer enough, then we start to look for different directions. And usually when we don't find it out there, where is all the suffering leads? It leads back to look within and look for the true source. Where is it coming from? Where are we coming from? So what I would say is a necessary step. Ego is a necessary step in our spiritual evolution. Because remember, in the golden age, we were connected to the source naturally. We got separated, we went into our mind, and we are seeking connection to the source again, but consciously. So this is actually, ego is creating awareness to create conscious reconnection to our source.
That's really interesting you say that, Isolde. So you're saying that ego kind of plays a part, because just to kind of wrap that up, from what I understand, we're from the source. There was a stage where there's fall of man, okay, and now the ego is kind of getting you back to that source. So it's kind of playing a role. So you detach yourself from external factors. Now, Jyoti, if I can just ask you, I'll give you a scenario. Say, for instance, someone's wealthy, they've made a lot of money, and they see someone else more wealthier, right? There's a kind of feeling that sometimes people get, why am I not like that? Or why are they more wealthy than me? Would you say that's the ego talking?
Yeah, it's different forms of ego. If you give me a little time, then I can maybe run through actually a slide which I have. And
go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
How the ego basically is going to come out, or is going to be affected, or going to lead us to a particular kind of behavior which is egocentric.
Right.
So basically, as I mentioned, that we start from fear, right? Because main thing is there are only two kinds of energies at one point. Either it's energy of love or fear.
Right.
So when it is not love, it's fear. And when the fear is there, when we are identifying ourselves with the outside, with our thoughts and emotions, as I mentioned in the beginning, there is a void which comes up because it's fear and void sort of feed each other. When the fear comes up, the first thing that happens is self-love. We don't love and accept ourselves the way we are.
Right, right.
Through that comes acceptance. Basically, we are looking for acceptance outside. When people say you're pretty or you're nice, you're intelligent, we feel good. So we are looking for approval and looking for our validation from others.
Yes.
Along with that come expectations of what others will say, others will think, and which also means that we become dependent on others.
Yes.
For our own feel-good situation.
Yes.
This also brings in conditional love, because only when people praise us, then we sort of, or they give us gifts, everything becomes.
Then we feel more love towards them.
Then we feel more love, and then we also understand. Love is associated with things.
Right, right.
What others say. And the other thing is that non-acceptance of love. So others give us love, we don't want to accept, because when we don't love ourselves, then how can others love us?
Yes. Very interesting.
Now, coming to your point, which you had mentioned, when there is a void and we are coming from the place of fear, there is a loss of internal power. We are very weak inside. When we are weak inside, and we feel very insecure, and we have low self-esteem. These are all very sequences, basically. It comes in that order. But they're interchangeable as well at some point. Then we wear an external mask. We want external power, which could come in the form of status, position, wealth, as you said. There is a lot of competition there, because our identity depends on that.
Right, right, right.
And if we get what we want, we become arrogant. And if we don't get, then we start the lower side. But basically, coming back to what you said, if we find somebody wealthier, we feel it because we are comparing and competing all the time. And that's all a part of the ego. Because the more I have, the better I am. Because we're still looking at happiness outside of ourselves.
And that actually causes suffering, doesn't it? It causes suffering because
these
no one's happy.
These are all temporary things, and we are looking for a permanent happiness. We are talking of money. We are talking of health. Something will suddenly start to fall apart. We might have everything working at one particular point, and then suddenly something is going to fall apart. So they are all temporary.
Do you know, this is so interesting because the people that follow money, no matter how much money they attain, they will never be happy. You know, they can never ever be happy until, even if they have all the wealth in the world, there'll be always some sort of emptiness. So I feel that the ego is kind of playing a part where it's telling you that this is not where happiness lies. You need to connect back to the source where happiness really is. Would you agree, Isolde?
Yes, I mean, like I said, ego is the catalyst. It's taking you there, and it's making you go through it, and it helps you to break through that illusion, that it's only illusion. You know, first of all, ego is it's a fictional image in our mind, and it's always seeking something outside, and it's always comparing, it's always judging. It never stops because nothing is enough. And it's looking to fill up, but there is nothing to fill up there. So it's pretty much chasing illusion. And what I would like to tell the viewers is that, you know, there is a voice of ego, and how to recognize the voice of ego.
Yeah.
Because it's always, you know when the first thing comes into your mind that reacts to the situation. Ego is always reacting.
Yeah.
Now, when you know, what I would suggest is that, you know, every spiritual teacher or thought that, you know, we have to conquer the ego, we have to kill the ego.
Yes.
You cannot kill the ego. You know what? And the more you're trying to kill the ego, the more it will fight you.
Yeah.
So pretty much, you know, there is a saying that keep your friends close, but keep your enemies even closer. Befriend your ego self. And what I would say, just be aware of the first voice and reaction that comes to any situation. Like, for example, you brought up that someone can be wealthier than you. That jealousy or that observation that comes up, just observe it. Let your ego say what it has to say. And just, you know, but who is the observer? Who is, you know, ego is there to create awareness.
Yes.
And that's what it's for. So when you when you observe yourself, when you observe the ego, what it says, boom, you win the battle.
Excellent.
You separated yourself from it.
Excellent.
And that's pretty much, you know, just remember, ego is always in the present, it's always reacting. And because it comes from a pre-recorded illusion in your mind that what reality is.
No, excellent point that you just mentioned there. Jyoti, I just want to go back to you because I want to ask you that from your experience of maybe people that have, you must be in a position where you can actually watch people very, very in line with their ego and they haven't understood it. How can someone be aware? How can someone be aware that they're actually doing something that's harming them, rather than you know, being aware of what the ego is playing? What would you say that creates awareness in someone?
Look at how you feel.
Yes.
Your feelings will automatically and immediately tell you what you're thinking.
Right.
The moment you go into your thoughts, then you can understand that what you're thinking is basically coming from the beliefs, the parents, the society, the things that others have put onto you.
Right. So how do you become aware of that? I mean, how does someone know that this is false? I mean, how would you make someone know about that? Do they have to? Does it happen naturally, or does someone have to tell them? I mean, what would you advise someone to do?
Yeah, I would normally ask people to, the moment they feel low, look at what their thoughts are, and replace their thoughts immediately with something positive.
Right.
So, like, if your thoughts are, say, negative, observe them and replace it with a positive thought. As Isolde said, that you cannot fight the ego.
Yes.
You cannot conquer the ego because it's going to come out even stronger. Whatever we resist persists, and it builds energy blockages actually, which sit in the stomach and cause emotional blockages as well. So the main thing is we have to be aware of it and release it, or I would use the word diffuse and neutralize with love. Only love can heal. So the main thing is the mind cannot stay still. You can channel the energy from negative to positive. So the first thing we have to do is be aware of the thoughts and then neutralize immediately with a loving thought. Like I would say, I'm a calm and peaceful being. Straight away, I'm neutralizing that negative energy. Remember, all these negative emotions and negative thoughts come from fear. The deeper level, if you shed the layers one after another, the last layer would be fear.
Right, excellent.
So it's a process of cleansing in a way, but to start with, we start with the first, just be aware of your thoughts.
Excellent, excellent. So what's amazing, I mean, the part that ego plays, that suffering it causes, right, that is the point where you have to start looking for a solution, don't you? That's where your journey begins.
And another thing, if I can add to what Isolde just mentioned, ego comes in the form of intimidation. So you will find people intimidating you. It would come in the form of interrogation, a lot of questioning.
Right.
It would come as poor me, the victim mentality.
Yes.
And then the fourth one that it comes is indifference or aloof. They just like children sit in the corner. So these are the four major ways, but there are small inside, in between gray areas where people would react or respond. But these are the four broad outlines of how ego is there. So the moment you feel you're getting into an interrogative mode, stop, follow your breath, okay, ask, and then replace it. Because these are the criteria we would know.
Excellent. Jyoti, I know you've got some meditation for the viewers. I'm going to leave that for a little while longer. But Isolde, I just want to go back to you. It's just amazing. Okay, so when this ego plays a part, I mean, it takes a very big personality to accept ego, right? I mean, someone's telling you that you're not good looking, or you're not as good looking as that person, or you're not as educated as that person, or you're not as successful as another person. Accepting something like that takes a very, very confident person. How would you get someone to reach that stage of confidence where you feel that I don't care what anyone says, I am what I am, and ego, you play a part there, but I'm not attached to you? I mean, how can you? It's not an overnight process. I must imagine it must take a lot of practice, acceptance. How would you advise the viewers?
Well, I just came across from a very good perspective, and that is, when someone tells you something, you have to accept that it's their opinion. It's their ego talking many times. So they project it to you. But here comes the revelation in the story. Yeah. You have to understand, people are free to give their opinion, or even you have the freedom to choose your opinion about yourself. But what meaning do we give to it? You see, I have the choice. What meaning do I give to it? And that's how I free myself from comparing myself or taking offense to any opinions in life. And pretty much in your spiritual journey, I think we all experienced it, that it's sometimes ego camouflage your spiritual growth, and sometimes you identify with your achievements, you identify with your knowledge, and you identify with all those things. But somewhere you come across a humbling experience where you recognize that that's not the way. That's not the way. And when you remember of who you are, where, when you truly connect to your true being, which is love, which is the source, you don't need no identification. You're already there. You everything what is. And when you connect with that thought all the time, then there's no need to compare. There's no need to be better, because you know you're already there. Just, you know, I think the main thing is to keep our connection to true source, and what Jyoti was saying, through our feelings. You know, feelings is your biggest giveaway to know. If you feel good, you connect it to source. You feel bad, you connect it to your ego. Those are the two, you know, two main elements. And those should be very simple. And immediately you need to create awareness. Where am I? On a higher spiritual vibration or a lower spiritual? Lower physical vibration. And also you'll notice that when you feel low, when you identify with the ego, many times even your body is moving slower and heavier. The minute you feel, you know, you lift up to the higher connections, or you're connected to your true source, it's like being in love. You can jump on clouds and you can walk. I mean, you feel like you can conquer anything, because there's no limit to the spirit. You see, there's no boundaries. Ego always have boundaries. Ego always sets boundaries, and also it's always achievements. But when you know that you have the power to achieve anything, like we talked about the book, what was it called? The Alchemist. Remember? Yes. It talked about that power. When you truly recognize who you are, do you think you need to have a certain way to describe yourself, or there's no need for it? You know, that's the liberation.
You feel whole and complete. Yeah.
Yes, Jyoti, sorry.
Yeah, I said you feel whole and complete, so you don't need others to validate your identity. You don't need anything, because your divine connection actually empowers you so much that love is radiating out. So you feel very secure, protected, and complete. And all the things that we were looking outside, power, acceptance, approval, somebody to complete us literally and to fill in the void, and all the happiness, everything is all already there. So then you are moving, you're working from a place of love, and you're also totally detached. When you are detached, then things come and go, people can criticize you, it's not important, because first of all, you're not dealing from the place to impress people. You're dealing from your heart. When you're dealing from the heart, then it's just going to flow out. We don't need to do anything. It's just going to flow. Things will happen, things will fall into place, things just move around to adjust to what your requirements are. You don't need anything. You don't desire anything. It's all going to come to you.
Okay, excellent. There's a really interesting question that I've just got coming in. It's a kind of comment and question at the same time, but it's a lady called Claire. She hasn't left her surname, but she's saying, I was the only lady at work, and I was appreciated because of my work amongst men, because you know, obviously it's a male-dominated kind of workplace, but she was the only lady. Another lady came in a few months later, and she took over my role, showing everyone that she could do a better job. I felt jealousy. How can I be aware that this is destroying me, because it's caused me depression? And the more I'm aware of jealousy, I just can't seem to get my head around it, that someone else has taken my position that I've worked so hard for. Zolda, do you want to answer, Jyoti?
Yeah, go ahead, Zolda.
Go on, Zolda.
So what I would say is that what you feel is very normal. But my main question would be, what is your main idea? I know it's just always remember, everything happens for a reason. Okay? Yes. That's number one thing. Make peace with everywhere where you are in your life. Mm-hmm. The second, what I would like to say is that when you see success, even if it feels like it's a success on your, when you lose in the meantime, always tap into, what I would suggest is tap into and be happy for that person. And I know it's hard for you to, you know, to share a pedestal, but you have to get over it, because it's your ego, actually. This is the perfect ego talking.
Yes, yes.
and it can be, you know, harsh as I say it, but when I feel that someone is more successful than me, don't think that the normal reaction of ego is, oh, how it can be, oh my gosh, you know, and the jealousy is always comes up. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what enlightenment place you are, that's your ego. Remember the reaction. Now get awareness of it, and if you want to be successful, what I would say is that, and if you want to get over this, be happy for that person. You know what, that's my easiest way to get over jealousy, when I realize that that is a connection, for my connection to success, and that is be happy for her.
Be happy, and it kind of releases you from limitations, doesn't it? I mean,
it releases you from that negative, you know, attachment to, because the minute you are jealous of someone, of their success,
yes,
you're telling the universe that you don't deserve that, because
yes,
you cannot relate to success. You see?
exactly.
So the language here is that my relation to success doesn't matter if it's hers or mine. And when you understand that everyone is one, if she is successful, that means success is coming into my reality as well. So that's how I get over these blockages, that I am happy for her. I create the happy feeling, and that means if I see success, that means success is coming my way as well. So those are just my helpful little hints to get over my blockages. But again, you know, she has to kind of go through her steps, but these are my helpful little tools.
Excellent, excellent points as well. There you go, Claire. And Jyoti, do you think that maybe this has come in her life to maybe push her forward?
First of all, we must understand that we come across people from whom there is some learning involved.
Yes.
So she is obviously attracted this person.
Yes.
Because there is a learning involved. And in this kind of thing, when we are in duality or at the physical level, it's very normal how she's feeling. But when we at the spiritual level, forgiveness, and that's how compassion comes in. Once we understand that this person is dealing from the place of fear, that she's so insecure that she's behaving the way she is, then compassion comes in. And that would be a spiritual way of dealing with the situation. In that way, she will neutralize her own negative energy towards her. I would suggest a very nice exercise which I have done, and I suggest to others who come to me. From your heart center, which is the middle of the chest, build a bridge with that lady. This is a bridge of light, and then you're going to project love and light through your heart center to her heart center. What happens is it clears your own energy field. You're not going to think anyway negative towards her, and she will respond when she's ready. So this is the technique for her. Yeah.
Excellent. That's amazing. So literally create this kind of feeling of love from your heart for the other person, and that helps you release tension and gives you that space to grow too, doesn't it?
Yeah, because what happens is we are attracting all the time. So somewhere she's attracted this energy, and which has triggered out some emotion in her. And now once she neutralizes her side, the other side will change on its own. And this is coming from a personal experience as well.
Excellent. And according to the spiritual levels, Jyoti, when you do these exercises, when you come up with these type of challenges where you have to take action and release yourself, in the spiritual world, do you actually grow spiritually then? Do you reach different stages?
That is the growth, because slowly we are going to dissolve the ego. Ego, remember one thing, does not leave very easily. Even as we move up, as we evolve, somewhere it will quickly, very like a snake, it creeps in without our realizing. And then you have to be very, very vigilant with this. You have to just be aware of, oh, again, it's mind talking again. So you can talk to the mind and cajole it with love, and it backs off.
Excellent. So the key is awareness.
Because surrender, by the way, comes much, much later. Surrender comes much later. Because ego is something that is going to come in one form or the other.
Excellent, excellent.
What I would
Excellent.
like to add to this, what Jyoti was saying, that yeah, our job is not to destroy ego. It's more to create awareness so ego can be more transparent.
Yeah.
So it's like more porous, so it's more water-like. So it's accepted that ego it's a mental organ. It's a created organ in our mind and our personality. And when you reach a certain awareness, you understand that it's part of you. And when you create transcendency, you know, when you are it's like ego becoming more transparent and work for you instead of against you. And you can make that happen. It is just, you know, creating you know, make friends with your ego. Create
That's the only way to dissolve it. Yeah.
Excellent. There's another point I'd like to mention, actually. Another example of someone, because I think examples are very important for some people to understand. But say, for instance, I am a certain religion and someone else is a different religion. Is that your ego talking as well, where you say, I am this, you're that, you are different from me, I don't agree with your point of view, you know, I agree with whatever I think is right. Is that a good example of what ego does?
I'll just read something from Lighting the Lamp Within. It's
Yes, please.
an essay called Religion and Spirituality, Where Do the Two Meet?
Yes.
Read one short excerpt. Okay. The moment followers of any one religion believe that their religion is the right one, the only one, I think they've lost it.
Excellent.
The moment a religious leader thinks that his precepts are the best and the only ones, he has lost the larger purpose.
Yes.
Then the ego is raising its head in its glory, misleading the group to believe that their religion is the chosen one, the one that offers the only path to spiritual growth. The ego seeking strength and validation in numbers, then urges them to convert others to join them, sometimes even forcibly. The result is an external power game, which is a complete antithesis of spirituality.
Right, right. That's very interesting, because I think what you're saying there is that people use religion for power, and that's external again, isn't it?
See, the goal of all religions is noble. What happens is when somebody says this is the best and this is the one that everybody should follow.
Yes.
So that is where people lose the track, because basically it's on spiritual growth. It's not following a particular leader or a religion. It doesn't matter who the person is.
Yes.
It's your spirituality is inner growth. It's how much you are doing the inner work to connect, to purify yourself, to cleanse yourself all the time. Because it's a cleansing process. All the time we are literally shedding the baggage we are carrying of the emotions. We are shedding our ego. We are shedding our belief systems. We are shedding all the negative thoughts. We are shedding all the time. And it becomes very subtle. As we evolve, it becomes more and more subtle. So then you have to be very vigilant of what is playing up. And
So
it comes like onion. So one layer is removed, the second layer comes.
Yes, of course, as stated. But so our purpose is to kind of, because I know a lot of mystics have said, I am nobody, I am nothing, I am you, you are me, I am, you know, I am everything, but I'm nothing as well. Would you say that they're accepting everything then, and they've got no judgment whatsoever, and they've completely released attachment?
We are all connected. It's the same energy. We are connected to the source, and we are connected to each other. It's like the waves in the ocean.
Yes.
The waves are the same water, the same chemicals, everything same, and so as the ocean. So we are same. And when we understand that the divine connection is the main thing, and the power that we get and the wisdom that comes from within with that whole experience, then comes humility.
Yes, absolutely.
And then once the humility comes, I'm nothing. I'm nothing because I'm not the doer. The doership comes from separation, from ego.
Is that surrender then? Surrendering? at that point?
Surrender is the highest form of humility in a way, where you're just one, you're merged. Everything
Right.
is just one. Yeah, that's surrender.
Excellent, excellent. I think we need to have a different show on the different levels of spirituality, because it's like a whole show itself. But guys, it's coming up to the end. Thank you so much for viewing our show. I hope you understood. We've done our best to kind of simplify what ego is. I think it is overcomplicated in a way. It's a very deep topic,
Yeah.
but it can be understood very, very easily as well. So I think the key message to the audience is awareness. So Izolda, if I can ask you to just leave your final kind of views for the audience, your takes, etc.
Yes, so pretty much what I would like to say for the audience is that you're not your thoughts, you are the awareness. So if that's, that's what you have to remember. You are the awareness, behind the thoughts, and you are that being. And the thoughts are simply, a tool that you use on a daily basis. Don't identify with that, because that's not who you are. You are the observer.
Excellent, excellent. And Jyoti?
Yeah, I'll just give a few things for people to carry along.
Yes.
Basically, it starts with the awareness that we are not the body, mind, or an emotion. Once we know that, then I'll just give some steps to people so that they can follow as a process of diluting the ego. First is awareness of thoughts. Remember that thoughts of guilt, blame, shame, they are coming from others. They are not your own. You are pure awareness who's observing the thoughts of guilt, blame, shame, whatever we like to call.
Yes.
And then at that point, they can just say, I'm a calm and peaceful being. So they are neutralizing that.
Excellent.
Excellent thought. Second is be aware of your emotions. Keep observing them and know that these emotions are also coming from your identification with your persona, with your body, emotions, thoughts, personality. So once we understand that these emotions also coming from there, arise from there, and they're coming from unmet expectations, observe them and start giving, as I said, from the heart center, start giving them love and light. Love and light to all my thoughts, love and light to all my emotions. So keep
love is neutralizing, yes.
Yeah, keep repeating them till you feel better. If they don't, if they are slow to work, start laughter therapy. It really works. Keep
laughter therapy, yeah. That's beautiful.
Another thing I would suggest is introspection and reflection, which means that at the end of the day, they are going to sit and reflect on how they responded during the day. Because basically, at any given point, they're either responding with love or responding from fear. The moment they have responded from fear, they can do, it's like a check. They can sit and work on, okay, this is the way I responded. And to respond with love, this is the way I could have done. So next day, when a similar situation comes, then they have something different, a different way to work on.
Excellent, excellent points there. And guys, just taking it from there, this is where you activate your journal, okay? Where you can actually access a journal online, activate it. You can start your daily, from 1 day to 90 days, every day. If you can actually be aware of your thoughts and document them, any form, we're saying it's a weblog, but it's a really good idea to kind of detach yourself from the current situation and start writing it out. So that helps with awareness too, So
another thing is gratitude journal.
Gradual journey, yes.
Gratitude.
Our gratitude journal, exactly. Whatever you're grateful for. I think there's a few tips that we can actually give to the audience. I'm going to ask Jyoti to probably put together a PDF for us. Maybe how we can do the 1 to 90 days, what we need to look for each day. I think Izolda, you've created something as well, so we'll share that in the group. But there's an awesome book that Jyoti's got. Please, please, please go to Amazon, have a look at it. It's Lighting the Lamp Within. There are different, I'll leave different areas where you can buy the book if you're coming in from New Zealand, for instance, or coming in from the US. There's a book, there you go. show it up. And she's highlighted a lot of information about ego as well. So that would be awesome for you to get. I'll put a description for I'll put a link for the book in the video below, so make sure you go and buy that. So it's absolutely fabulous. And guys, join our group as well, so you'll be meeting a like-minded community that will help you on your journey of transformation. But it's been an absolutely awesome show. Thank you so much to our special guest Jyoti coming in live.
Thank you so much for having me here.
It's been an honor. Thank you so much. Thank you. And Isolde, what can we say? How awesome was the show today?
It was amazing. Thank you. I mean, it's just, you know, when I is Jyoti still here?
Yeah, we're still live.
Oh, okay.
We're still live.
Your screen froze there, but anyhow, it was great insight. It was amazing. Thank you, and I hardly can wait to read your book.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me here.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, guys, take away watch the show over and over. Invite your friends, and I'm sure that it's a very, very easy way of explaining what ego is and how important it is to be aware of this kind of suffering that we go through. And it's been absolutely awesome having you here. So, guys, tune in. This will repeat throughout the week. So you can, as I said, invite your friends. And next week's show, I think we need to think about a really good topic for next week. Actually, I think I'm looking, if we add it from this, maybe the how to reach different levels of spirituality is something I can actually it springs to mind right away. So we can share a really, really important show next Tuesday. Same channel, same time. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.